I'm really having to battle my perfectionism. I don't even know if I want to call it battling it because I don't want to feel like I have to strong arm a part of myself in order to reach success. But maybe it's a bit of exposure therapy because I think part of me is just trying to keep me safe. And maybe it's also just an ego thing. Maybe it's trying to protect the ego. I think I don't like seeing myself. I don't like being seen in a way that's a little bit too exposed. So I've set myself the challenge to post 200 pieces of content in 30 days. But I'm not doing it the way that TikTok hustle culture is telling us to do it. I'm just doing it my own way. This is a strategic, sustainable vision that I just feel like I need to do at this point because I'm just noticing all of my channels, brands, platforms that I've created, they're not taking off in the way that I want them to. And I've had them for years and some of them are brand new. And I don't want to make the same mistakes. And I don't want to let myself just stay stuck. I think giving myself time and numbers as a sense of structure and container and support for it, I think is going to be really helpful. I want to credit the guy, Donavan Barrett. Okay, yeah.
I'm challenging myself to post 500 pieces of content in the next 30 days.
So let me tell you a little bit about what I do. I run a tutoring and academic coaching business, which I've been doing for 10 years, but I've actually just transforming it into a more of a high level, high ticket offer, something that's more sustainable. So I'm not just kind of running on empty all the time and burning out, which is called that A+ feeling. It's all around the sense that you get when you have that accomplishment, that really embodied feeling. And that page is brand new. It's that A+ feeling on Instagram. I don't currently have a TikTok, but I guess I should have a TikTok. But TikTok posts are not one of the main channels that I'm doing. I've got 2 brands that I'm working on primarily. I've created new brands, which is called Notes on Prosperity, which is all of my work around wealth mentorship and thinking around abundance. I've created my own concept, which is prosperous envisioning, which is kind of next level manifesting theory. It overcomes some of the key issues with manifesting theory, which is self-blame, maybe being a bit too self-aggrandizing, getting overly rigid in terms of your goal setting. And it's also just being a bit too westernized, individualistic. And 5, it has built into it kind of systemic critique. So it does include things like oppression, inequality, and it has this psychology imbued with it. It's about processing. It's not spiritual bypass. And what I mean by that is it's not about saying don't ever feel negative feelings. It's actually feel those things and do it in a really structured way that's really helpful, but also don't put too many timelines on it either. I think we get stuck into these ways of thinking. I want to bring this forth as a new way of doing things, and I want to make money out of it. Let's just be real. I want to help people. I want to be of high service, but I also do want to make money from it because I think the thing that I am guilty of is producing a lot, putting a lot of work in, and not always allowing myself to receive. So let's do that. Allow myself to receive through specific channels. I'm going to be honest that I'm not doing this on my own. I'm living with my family and I have a lot of support from my family and friends. Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that even though this challenge looks like I'm doing this on my own, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to get the content out myself. I am editing myself, I'm filming myself, I'm recording myself. But I am on the shoulders of my community. So why am I doing it this way? It's not about going viral. I really want to work out how can I get to that place of success in a streamlined way. I've never allowed myself to actually have the opportunity. And I'm going to be honest, I've been feeling absolutely terrible the last couple of days. I'm running out of money, running out of resources, and I've had a lot of support in terms of my family, the community around me, to build these businesses, to build my life, and to keep things above board. But there's something missing, and I think I just need to get out of my own way. I want to love that part of myself, perfectionist, the high achiever, the excellence striver, and I'm going to be working with them as well, realistically. But I think I'm going to have to make some negotiations and be okay with things not being perfect. I sometimes see a typo or an image or an idea that I could have taken further even more, and I just get so compelled to change it. It does feel really uncomfortable, and I know that giving into it all the time is not helping. And so an approach like this, which is just focused on numbers, might help me to get more familiar with the difficult parts of me that are wonderful. I'm trying to not speak in a negative way. I'm very interested in IFS, internal family systems, where the theory is that we have different parts of ourselves, and we shouldn't strike off or badmouth or be negative towards parts of ourselves, but really become familiar with them. And while I'm not doing this in a very therapeutic way, I just am really conscious of not hating on parts of myself, because self-harm is not healing. I think it's easy to think that when we have this productivity culture, which is so much based around beating ourselves up and putting ourselves into a box. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm giving myself numbers. I'm giving myself a little bit of breathing room. So in terms of my posting schedule, I'll only be doing Monday to Friday. And this should be, if you want to join me, this should be a little bit of an incentive that the weekends are a time to rest, but also a bit of spillover. If I'm needing to catch up on stuff, then I can post on the weekend or just do a bit of extra prep. I just know myself, and I know that I can burn out quite quickly, and I can work really hard and not give myself time and space to rest. So I'm deliberately building that into this version. So instead of doing 500 pieces of content as Donavan did, I'm doing 200 pieces of content. And yes, let's look at this little tick list I've got. The tick list says, and I can put a version of this in the description on YouTube. So 5 reels per week for the A+ feeling, 5 reels a week for Notes on Prosperity, 20 stories per week, ideally 10 stories for the A+ feeling, 10 stories for Notes on Prosperity, and that's 4 stories per day. But I'm allowing myself to, if I want to post more stories on one and not on the other, that's okay. Obviously, regularity is emphasized, but I want to be a bit flexible with it and give myself a high chance of kind of meeting and exceeding these goals. Then there's 1 live stream per week. There's 8 posts per week on Instagram, so that will be 4 on the A+ feeling and 4 on Notes of Prosperity. Then I've got 5 threads per week for the A+ feeling, 5 threads per week for Notes of Prosperity. So that's short form content, basically tweets, but we don't say that word anymore. And then 1 YouTube video per week. I know that YouTube is a huge commitment. I've really struggled getting as much content as I'd like to out there on YouTube, but in this kind of really basic format, using my phone and a light, and I've got a mic here, it shouldn't be too difficult. It will make me rely on tools like Descript, which is an AI-powered tool which cuts out ums and ahs and will also cut out bad takes. It will encourage me to do that kind of thing. Thank you for joining me on this journey. This is technically day 2, because the first day I did actually do some content, but I did want to start on a Monday. It's based on 4 sets of weekdays, so Monday through Friday, 4 times, and then you've got the weekend and a couple of days to complete that 30 days if you need to catch up on anything. Again, this is more of a sustainable way of doing it. It's about skyrocketing your engagement. It's about going from broke to boss for my Notes of Prosperity page and building a business in 30 days.